Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another installment of the Around the Ropes podcast. Bear with me 2 seconds. I just want to go share the show out so people can watch and we can have some interactions. Because, guys, we have a lot of stuff to get to. And this is going to be huge, what we have coming up. We have two phenomenal guests joining us. First at 8 o'clock, 8:30, sorry, my bad. Dr. Sleep, Anthony Gangone will be joining us. This is coming off the heels of what happened last week on the show, if you remember, when Anthony Cole was on with us and he dropped the bomb that Anthony Gangone was going to be the number one competitor in the Grand Rumble on August 18th. So I figured I'm that crazy, I am that psychotic, but that's Around the Ropes podcast for you. And I figured, why not pull that one off? So we'll have him coming on at the bottom of the hour, and then in hour number 2, also from Bree Combination Wrestling, Daniel Alexander. This is a guy who a lot of you may not know, but this is a guy, every time I've seen him, either it be Bree Combination or Titan or wherever, he gets the crowd going. He really gets the crowd going. I'll share the rest of it later. But guys, if you are watching us, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us. If you are watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you watch us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook. You can do all that fun stuff. Like I said, Anthony Gangone will be on with us in about 28 minutes or so, and then Daniel Alexander will be on in hour number 2. But guys, I want to start off with right now. I want to kind of go back to what we saw on Wednesday with AEW Dynamite, and we saw a match between MJF and Will Osprey that the fact that it went almost to a time limit draw is insane. The fact that it went as far as it did is absolutely insane. And it brought up an interesting question that in the history of AEW Dynamite, which has now been on the air now for 4 years, either 4 years or 5 years, I'm not 100% sure. Was that the greatest match we've seen on TV? And honestly, I think so. I honestly think that was one of the greatest matches because it told the story, first of all. Second off, it got people talking. Because now I cannot see the argument to be made. Let me rephrase that. The argument has to be made now that MJF, to me, is one of the best wrestlers in wrestling. Because not only, you have to realize something, not only can he talk well on the microphone, not only can he do that, but he can also talk, he can also put on great matches. We saw it a couple weeks ago. Well, not a couple months ago, when he took on Bryan Danielson at Revolution. And he put on a classic there. He put up a classic. He had, in this year alone, he has 2 classics. One against Bryan Danielson, and obviously the one that we saw with Will Osprey. And I know the stigma with him for a while, and don't mind me, my glasses just getting foggy. The stigma that MJF was facing for the longest time is the guy can talk on the microphone. That's without a doubt. But can the guy work in the ring? And I'm talking about working with guys like a Will Osprey, who's more of a high flyer, like a Bryan Danielson, who's more of a technical wrestler. And we've seen it twice now. So I think the argument has to be made. I know this was talked about a lot in the last couple of months, but I think the argument should be made that MJF is becoming a generational talent. You put MJF the way he is now in like a WWE, for example. You have somebody who's in the main event. You put him in the NWA. You have the one thing with MJF is no matter what company he's put into, either it be in AEW or WWE or TNA, he's going to do wonders. He really is going to do something. And I think a lot of that is because of the fact he doesn't play a character. He doesn't play MJF. He is who he is. And it's definitely telling, to say the least. And honestly, I don't want him to go to another company, because right now, to me, the best that we're getting from him now is in AEW. I think if you would put him in like a WWE situation right now, he would definitely do well. That's not without a doubt. But the problem is, I think because AEW gets more of a leeway than anything, I think that also helps tremendously. And that's half the battle. I mean, what's going to make things interesting, this is sort of what's going to be tonight's overall question, is you're a few weeks out from All In. And as of now, the only two matches we know of going into All In is Bryan Danielson taking on Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Heavyweight title, and Mariah May taking on Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title. Those are the only matches we know as of tonight. The problem is, where do you go from here? Where do you go with MJF going into All In? Does Pac go after him? Do we get Daniel Garcia going after him? So the question for tonight, if you guys want to comment on it, you guys definitely can, is what do you think, if you had the pencil, what would you do with MJF going into All In? And then part two is what are you going to do now with Will Osprey? Because you got to remember, Will Osprey came into AEW fucking blazes glory. He was winning matches hand over fist, and now he's lost two matches in a row. He lost to Swerve at Forbidden Door, and he lost to MJF for the title. So you're not going to take one of the biggest talents that come out of the UK away from the UK, from the big one, probably the biggest show that AEW is doing. And it's going to make things very interesting, to say the least, very telling, because of the fact that what direction are you going to go? There's so many options here. I mean, I said a couple weeks ago on the show, I thought the original option to me would have been to have Will Osprey win the Owen Hart tournament and go after Swerve again in his home country. I think you would have had a huge, huge moment right there. But I understand Bryan Danielson, though. Bryan Danielson, supposedly this is his last run. He has yet to hold that title. So, honestly, at this point, him going after the title makes sense. But what do you do with Will Osprey, though? You're not going to go for the rematch, because that's going to be the cheap way out. But you're also not going to turn around and have your biggest UK talent, or one of your biggest UK talents, be on the, be a part of the show. And looks like we got a first comment coming in, actually, from our buddy David across the pond. I'm just going to read this out here. He goes, hey, John, I know you're talking about AEW right now, but you probably have a good idea from what I got to get off my chest right now. The Wide Six segment with Howdy and Gable and Raw. Wow, that is how you book a segment. Kudos to Howdy, Gable, and Triple H. David, later on in the show, I'm going to dive into the Wide Six, because I agree with you. I liked it, and I like the approach you're going with it, because they're not jumping the gun. Like, if you remember with Retribution, I've said this a couple weeks ago on the show, if you look at Retribution, this is a prime example. Retribution, they had that huge buildup for a couple of weeks, and then it went nowhere. The problem is, you look at with Wide Six, they're building them up the right way. They're letting each of the people tell a story through those creepy videotapes. We saw it for 2 weeks with Uncle Howdy. We saw it for 2 weeks with Eric Rowan. Last night we saw it with Nikki Cross. You don't have that many people left. You got Joe Gacy left, and you have Dexter Lumis. But the thing that I like, though, and I've said this for a while now, is I like the fact that they're allowing them to tell the story. They're allowing the story to be told. Can't even read that. What's going on, guys, over at Fast Count? Yeah, if we remember from the NXT days, Dexter Lumis probably won't say that much, or he may say a lot. Who knows? That's what's going to be really telling, because you don't know. And also, we only have, I think, one more Monday Night Raw till we get to SummerSlam. Are we going to get another match? Are we going to? Because I mean, we did see Uncle Howdy get a little physical with Gable last night. Is that going to lead to a Firefly Funhouse match at SummerSlam? Because it worked out perfect, because I think it was 5 years ago, if I remember correctly, when The Fiend debuted on SummerSlam, when he took on Finn Balor at whatchamacallit, at what's going on, Kevin? By the way, Kevin, the door is open for you if you ever want to hop on as a co-host with me. The door is always open for you. So I mean, going back to what I was saying, yeah, David, that's what I'm saying, though, is you definitely have shades of Bray there. You definitely have shades of Bray. And like I said, where this goes, I really don't know. I don't know, because this could be... I think the best way I look at it with the whole Wide Six thing, and we'll get back into the other stuff in a bit. I look at it this way. When do you officially pull the trigger on having them work? Do you wait until we get to SummerSlam and you do more of a cinematic-esque match? Do you pull the trigger at Bad Blood? Do you pull the trigger at Bash and Brawl? That's where it's going to make this very interesting in the weeks and months to come, because I kind of don't know what the end game is going to be here. I mean, and I've said this since the start of the whole Wyatt Six thing. They're not going for a title. We're not going to see all of a sudden, the Rabbit and freaking whatchamacallit and Joe Gacy go for the tag titles. That's not what they're going to do. It's almost like what they're doing right now is they're trying to do wrong. Because if you notice, they went after Gable first. And the story that I'm trying to gather from what we saw from Bo Dallas and what we saw from Eric Rowan is they were in families that broke up or they were forgotten about. And look at what we're seeing right now with who the Wide Six are going after. Gable and the Creed brothers. It works out perfectly, because then the next logical choice after Gable would be Gunther. That to me would make the most sense if you're going after everybody who has broken up families. That to me is where I think you would have to almost do it. Is you go after everybody who has broken up a family. I mean, if you want to really pull back the curtain, that would mean that you're going to go after Seth then, because it's what Seth did with the Shield. But it's going to be very telling. But we got a couple more comments coming in here, so let me look at these comments quickly. David says, they're just causing chaos, terrorizing the locker room, and having a ball doing it. Yes, I totally agree on that. And Randy from the Front Row Mafia chimes in here and goes, John, don't know if you saw the Creed brothers are going to be fighting at Bloodsport. Yeah, I did see that. I think that's next week, I think. I think they're doing that next week. I'm not 100% sure. But I did see that because I think it was them. I think Shayna Baszler is going to be involved in it. And a few others. But guys, definitely go check out Bloodsport. That's one thing I definitely want to get into is the Josh Barnett Bloodsport. Those are always good. But again, guys, if you're just joining us, I do appreciate it. Guys, in about 15 minutes, Anthony Gangone, Dr. Sleep will be on with us, coming off the heels of the monster announcement that happened last week on the show, where Anthony Cole announced that on August 18th, when BCW returns to the Mecca for a Grand Rumble, where the winner of the Grand Rumble, a tribute to Mama Pan, will be getting a World Heavyweight title opportunity. But you have to go through 19 other people to get that opportunity. And as we found out last week, Mr. Gangone will be number one. Mr. Cole pretty much announced that last week on the show. But I want to get his take because we've heard it from everybody else, but we have not heard from Anthony Gangone since this all happened. And I want to basically find out what possessed him to attack Anthony. Of all shows, the anniversary show, the biggest show that Breed Combination runs. And I know in the speech he was talking about, not his speech, in his promo, he was talking about how he felt like BCW management didn't promote him enough, but yet they promoted somebody like Jay Bougie. Hey, Gangone, I know you're going to be on in a couple minutes, but I hate to break the news to you, buddy. I really hate to break the news to you. Maybe it was because you didn't bring any seats, into the seats. Maybe it was because of the fact that, I don't know, you have a social media following and, you are allowed to promote yourself. I'm going full in on this. So, guys, if you're watching this, be prepared because you guys are going to see a different side of me you guys have never seen in the 3 years of me doing this podcast. But what's going on, Wayne? What's going on, Michael? Everybody who's watching, definitely, if you're watching us right now, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us. As of now, we are up to, I'll tell you in a second, if my YouTube screen will load in, that would be amazing. We are up to, as of now, 53 subscribers. I'm very impressed with that. I'm hoping, originally I'd set my goal at 60. Originally my goal was 50. But if we can get to 60 by the time we get to the end of the summer. So basically I would need another 7 subscribers just to get to at least the 60 mark, because then it puts us right in on par to get to the 100 by at least the end of the year. But because the big thing, in case people watch us and are saying to themselves, why does Sean keep talking about this 100 subscribers? The significance behind it is this. If we get to 100 subscribers, then I can sit there and give out a URL for the YouTube account. Instead of saying just go to Facebook and type in Around the Ropes, I can actually say, go to YouTube, go to Around the Ropes podcast. But guys, we have to hit 100 subscribers to get there. And I can do it as much as I can. But all I'm asking, and I've said this before, you don't have to ever watch a video. You don't have to be a wrestling fan. I don't care about that. It just does us wonders here at the On the Ropes podcast if we can get to that 100 subscribers. Because that would definitely help with business cards and all that stuff. So like I said, it takes literally how long it takes you to click on a button. Half a second, a millimeter of a second. So it doesn't cost you anything. And that's the biggest thing I keep striving is we're not asking you to donate money. We're not asking you to donate any money because I know times are tough right now. Financially, I totally understand that. However, if you can and you have YouTube, just go hit the button. Like I said, you don't ever have to watch it. I mean, I would hope you watch some of our stuff, but you don't ever have to watch a video of ours. All I just ask is just hit the subscribe button. That's all I'm asking. It's free for you. It does wonders for us. If you like to hit the bell, you can. You'll get notified of any videos or anytime I go live on this channel. And guys, we have a lot of big stuff coming up for you guys as we head into August and we head into the fall. Because guys, we will also have coming up an in-depth look at SummerSlam coming up. We'll also have an in-depth look into All In coming up in a couple weeks. But also on the independent side, because you guys know I cover the independent scene extensively. We'll also be doing an extensive, well, in August, starting August 1st, we'll have extensive coverage of the Battle at Almont, the next Dynasty show. I can't confirm anybody as of yet. Obviously, we had Layla James on the show last week. But I will put it to you this way. If I can pull off two of them to come on, and the two of them that I'm thinking in my head, if I can pull it off, that's not going to only just be looking at the Almond show, but we're also going to be looking at the October show whenever that happens, because that's going to be 1 year for Dynasty, which is incredible to think that how much Dynasty has done in less than 12 months, and how much news they have pushed, and how much publicity they've gotten, good and bad, but it really, the fact of what they've been able to pull off, and it's been less than a year, is insane. Is absolutely insane. So definitely be on the lookout for that as we do an in-depth look at what Dynasty has done over the last year, going into arguably you can say their biggest show of the year, being the anniversary show. Whenever that is in October, I have no idea. Also, we'll have a lot of coverage coming up of the upcoming Battleground show. Battleground Championship Wrestling returns to the 2300 Arena for Nightmare on South Swanson Street. South Swanson Street. That show will be happening October 26th, live from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we'll definitely have that coming up for you. We will definitely also have a lot more Brie combination talk coming up. And you guys know what we have coming up here. But I want to take a quick commercial break. I'm not going away. I'm just taking a quick commercial break. And we'll come back talking more wrestling. You're watching the Around the Ropes podcast right here on the Around the Ropes YouTube and Facebook channel. We'll be right back right after this. And we are back live right here on the Around the Ropes podcast. Guys, in the next couple of days, I promise I will be adding some more videos so you won't keep hearing Enter Sandman every week. But want to keep things moving here because, guys, like I said, we have a lot more to get to. In about 7 minutes or so, Anthony Gangone from Brie Combination Wrestling will be joining the man of the hour who became the biggest topic of the conversation last week when his boss, the man he attacked at the anniversary show, was on with us. So Anthony Gangone will be joining us at 8:30. Then at 9:30, Daniel Alexander will be joining us, making his debut. Probably one of the best high flyers on the independent scene. Somebody who, I've said this for a while, there are certain wrestlers who can never turn babyface, who can never turn heel. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I can never see Daniel Alexander being a heel. The kids love him, especially the puppets that he does. And I kind of want to ask him, how did the whole puppet thing kind of become part of his shtick? So we'll have that coming up for you guys at 9:30. Sorry. Then next week I can announce, and hopefully the guys from Front Row Mafia are watching this part, because I can announce coming up next week, July 30th, right here on the Around the Ropes podcast at 8. I think 8:30. I'm not sure about time. I'll confirm time this week. Your first ever Brie Combination Women's Champion, Faye Jackson, will be on with me next week, obviously ahead of the big show happening in August. So you're not going to want to miss that, as we get some royalty on the show next week with basically the woman who kind of started the whole women's division for Brie Combination. So that's going to be coming up next week on the show. And then obviously in August, like I said, we have a lot of big stuff coming up. and all that. I do want to also give a little bit of a shout out. I didn't get a chance to put the poster in, but friend of the show, DJ Storms, announced today he's actually going to be running his own show in conjunction with ECPW, October 19th in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. We'll definitely have, a lot of promotion for that coming up. So I just definitely want to announce that. I'm very proud of him. I met DJ at the ISPW show on Total Day last year. Yeah, last year. And he has been somebody who's helped me a lot behind the scenes with bouncing off ideas. So, like I said, I'm very proud of DJ Storms and what he's done. I mean, obviously, my thoughts on the other podcasts, but I'll say that to the end because I actually did hear of one that happened today. Actually, I heard of one today that was, I'll be honest, it was the podcast called Cards Subject to Change with Sean Donovan, Darius Carter, and the Bayonne badass himself, Danny fucking Moth. Guys, obviously they are the veterans. They're the ones who have been doing this for a hell of a lot longer than a lot of us have. And if they just did a whole episode on getting over. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. And we got all that stuff coming up. But guys, like I said, we should be joined in about 4 minutes or so with Anthony Gangone, the man who, for some odd reason, I still don't know why, he attacked Mr. Cole at the anniversary show. So what I'm actually going to do now, and unfortunately I couldn't get a chance to put the clip through here because it was too big of a clip. Thanks, Anthony Cole. But I am going to play you guys the actual video leading up to the attack and all that stuff. So I'm going to send over now to our buddies over at, okay.
Over 500 and anything to some reason, I'm not promoted like the rest of these champions. There's only one person to blame. Anthony Cole, where are you? Oh, yeah, you. Yeah. Hey, buddy, come on. Come on. Come in. Wait, no. I want to talk. What are you calling the owner in for? You don't have to go in there. I wouldn't go in there. You don't have to go in. I wouldn't go in. I respect Anthony Cole and everything he's done. I do not recommend this decision. Two businessmen. Talking about what though? Two businessmen, right? Businessman, cool. So, wouldn't it be good business to promote your longest reigning singles champion? Wouldn't that be good business? That is good business. Yeah, that's something you can do. You know, it's weird because I meet Dennis Carter, you treat like a god. And I'm one of the few people that actually beat him in BCW. Would you promote someone like that? But you didn't do that either. AJ Payne's at ringside now. Oh, this is funny. It's a show to me, right? Seriously, Mr. Cole, you should too. I just lost that championship because of things that you have done. I disagree with Stephen. Oh, wait, okay. All my champions, and he does a great job. Because Jim Bougie always has bad behavior. Yet he's promoted. But a guy stepped on. Is that how you run your business, Mr. Cole? Not at all. I've been long enough to know better. Okay. You know what? Mr. Cole, maybe I'm just too upset. Let's leave it here. Maybe we can discuss this at a different time.
Great call.
Okay.
Great call. We can go on now with the program. Let's talking. Why is he doing it? Get him off. Come on. There's a separate. What? Why is Gangone acting out on Cole? Why is Gangone taking this out on Cole? Can we? What? No, they got to get him out of here. There's enough guys. Come on. Somebody get him out of here already. There's no reason. He had no reason to put his hand. Cole's not even close to being a wrestler. He owns this.
All right, guys, that was basically the extent of what happened during this attack. And Mr. Cole, I don't know, I'm hearing myself now. But what made it, and I was there the night this happened, and it was a very, very awkward situation, to say the least. It was extremely awkward because nobody understood why Gangone did what he did. And it probably has to do with the mask that he wears, that also he puts that mask on and he turns into a different person. And guys, let's make sure. Yep, guys, been talking about this man now for a while, returning to the show. The man who was at the center of our show last week, Dr. Sleep, Anthony Gangone. All right, I just played the video. First of all, Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. I want to get right into it because obviously you were the big vocal point when I had your boss on last week. Initially, what were your thoughts when you found out you're going to be the number one entrant into the Rumble on August 18th?
Well, it's like I said on social media. I said I apologize to Mr. Cole and the fans and the staff for what occurred. It was a heated moment, and I'm more than willing to accept my punishment because of that. But that being said, if Mr. Cole thinks that I wouldn't be able to win this Rumble at number one, he is sadly mistaken, because my whole career in BCW, I've always been a first to do something. Grand Dragon Championship, first person to win 3 matches in one night. So I'm looking to make myself the first person to win this Rumble, the first Rumble in BCW, and win it at number one.
Okay, now let me ask you this though, because I just played the entire segment, what happened at the anniversary show.
Mm-hmm.
What? And I'm going to ask you the tough question right out of the gate. What made you want to attack Anthony on the biggest stage of BCW?
Like I said before, it was a heated moment, and I kind of let my frustrations get to me there, which my frustrations I believe to be one that has merit to it. Was I promoted like the rest of the champions? No. But if you look at my record at BCW, it's seemingly, especially as of late, every time that I am involved in something, I seem to be the talk of the town. And I wasn't really getting the respect I felt I deserved. There was respect on someone named Jay Bougie that did everything the wrong way. and seem to be rewarded for it. He who's trying to give a higher quality professional wrestler than everything else seems to be on the back burner. And those frustrations came out. And, wrestling does a lot to a person. I myself don't really enjoy where wrestling takes me. Once that bell rings, once those lights are on, uh, uh, I'm not always proud of who that person is, but it does get the job done because wrestling, in my view, has taken me to a very primal state at times. And it is what it is.
But let me ask you this: so you have a large social media presence. If you felt like management wasn't promoting you, why didn't you promote yourself then?
Oh, you don't think I did that?
Apparently, you didn't feel like you did enough.
I see. The thing is, I'm on your show. I was obligated to come on it, and you asked me a question like that. It's almost as if you're not paying attention, which I understand. You're just another guy with another podcast, probably not super accurate with things, but I do appreciate you, and so I don't think your statement's accurate at all. We can have a debate about it if you like. I don't know how much time you have, but I like I said before, I'm very happy to be here.
You're just trying to beat around the bush. I see exactly what you're trying to do, because I appreciate the fact of what you said about that. I'm just another podcaster. Here's the difference: I'm a podcaster who's not going to pull strings.
Well, we could also debate that because I don't really see how you do that either. Just like your kind of nonsensical question that you asked me. But I think you should, much like Anthony Cole, whom I've apologized to multiple times. I think you should really appreciate that I am on your show right now, and I am speaking to you and answering all your questions, no matter how much actual work you put into them. So yes.
I'm just laughing at you're sitting there thinking I didn't put work into this. I'll tell you right now, I've been doing this stuff now for 3 years. And this is the one interview where I actually came up with questions because I didn't want to miss anything. And here's another one I want to bring up to you, because before you put the mask on, you were in one shape. Then also you put the mask on, and then that's when it's like it switched. Do you think the mask is what kind of pushed you to the edge almost?
Well, and I'm going to try to answer this accurately for you. Being someone that has, to my knowledge, never been a wrestler, who's never put on boots, who's never been in a match, you quite don't understand the pressure in being in that ring and essentially fighting for your life. At any point, anyone could die in that ring. That is completely accurate. If you take my match with Vicky, there could have been a very serious neck injury, and thank God that happened. But because of that, when you're in that ring, you do have to. You're kind of an animal backed into a corner, and you would do things that perhaps you wouldn't do during a regular engagement in your life. So, we can debate about the mask as well. For me, the mask has been very vital to this version of Dr. Sleep, which I do think is the purest form of me. And I do enjoy what I've been doing, but unfortunately, there does have to be a winner, does have to be a loser. And if I have to go to a certain place to get that victory, it is what it is. And I wish people could understand more the pressure and the idea of what professional wrestling actually is. And here's a quick little note about this. So there used to be a thing when I was in training called shark bait, right? And what this was you would have two different people go in there in that ring and try to submit each other. right? And it became very dirty. It became very mean. And I felt that I would have to go to a certain place, a certain primal place to defeat my opponent. And it was not something that I was ultra proud of. But at the end of the day, we are human beings. We are a creature of nature. And you kind of do what you have to do to survive.
All right, but let
I
me
hope
ask you
that
this.
answers.
No, that definitely did. But I want to go back to the attack itself, because you were lucky that BCW management didn't suspend you for what you did. Because if you did that at a regular job, regular 9-to-5 job, and you went to attack the boss, you would have been suspended or fired. So my question for you now is this: do you think, with what you've done, that you have a bullseye now on your back, that you don't think everybody in that locker room is now going to come after you for what you did at the anniversary show?
Well, I think you would be accurate with that assessment, but the issue is that this is professional wrestling, and it is very much the Wild West. And to kind of put these real world uh, things and locks on what wrestling is, it's not really accurate. There's so much more that goes into it than a 9-to-5 job, right? And as far as the bullseye, sure, there's plenty of people before this that I'm sure did not like me and would come after me. But then at the same time, I mean, let's be honest here. How many people really care about Mr. Cole? Sure, they might shake his hand, they might smile in his face, but as you know, our wrestling is a place where you always have to work. And how many people actually care about Mr. Cole's well-being, or do they care about their pocket, or do they care about their booking? See, the thing with me is, what hurts me is that I'm a bit more genuine. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I think that would be more valued than someone that goes in there, shakes your hand, and then talks badly about you when you're not in the room, right? So, sure, I do have a bullseye, right? But so does Mr. Cole.
But the thing is, Mr. Cole's bullseye was not necessary, though. He's not an in-ring competitor.
Well, Mr. Cole is a promoter. He's the boss, right?
Yes.
And for Mr. Cole to not promote me as he did so many others when I've been such an important role on his shows. I mean, you were there and you proclaimed that myself and Jay Bougie, the battle that we had, was the most impressive matchup of that night, right? And that's happened often. And even for yourself, you know, you'll have your show and you'll speak maybe 30 seconds about the match you enjoyed the most, and then move on to someone else, like so many others, like Darius or this person, instead of really giving me my flowers. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. And but the thing is that he's a promoter, right? You would think good business would be promote your champions, especially a champion of the quality that I was. So, I mean, we can debate that as well if you'd like, but I think what I'm saying does have merit to it.
I get what you're saying. My only thing is this, because this was brought up when Cole was sitting in the chair that you're in last week. He said on the show, not that chair exactly, but you get my point. He said on the show last week he was willing to give you the rematch with Bougie if you didn't attack him. So my question to you is this: did you let your emotions get that much in the way of your thinking that you didn't think there for a second and said, oh shit, am I about to screw everything up? Because you could have had an easy rematch without a problem, but now you have to go through 19 other wrestlers to get another title shot.
Well, I mean, he says that now. In hindsight, he says this. But I think you've read it yourself. Right after the match, Jay Bougie said he would never wrestle me again, that he had trouble even sneezing after competing against me. So, I mean, that's easy to say now. I mean, he could have still gave me that shot. Did I let my emotions get the best of me? I did. But it's also professional wrestling, and I think Mr. Cole has to understand that. And I guess in some small way he did. And that's why he's given me the opportunity to be in this Rumble. That being said, he did put me at number one. But I've beaten the odds so many times before, not only wrestling, but life. And anytime that you put me in a corner, I will find my way out each and every time because the truth guides me in every single way. And it will guide me to victory one more time.
I understand that. And if by some miracle you can pull this one off and win this Rumble, would you try to play the system and get a rematch for your Grand Dragon, or would you push for the other title?
Well, I mean, I probably would keep that close to the vest. I'm not really entirely sure if they've said exactly what this Rumble's for, but if I did have the choice, I'm going to keep that close to the vest. So I just want you to be aware that I've defeated Jay Bushi before. I'm probably the only person in the universe of going to have defeated Face. And I've also defeated in the finals Darius Carter, whom you yourself and everybody else seems to worship. And Darius the Allfather is a spectacular talent. And you have to be a spectacular talent to defeat him, which I am. And I think people are starting to notice that a tenfold in that. So, I can't tell you all my secrets. This is an illusion, right? So, yeah, I'm not going to tell you that. But don't say if I win by some miracle, because luck's for losers, and I am not one to be a loser.
Yeah, but you said that luck is for losers. I understand that. But you could have, if you never attacked Cole at the anniversary show, you could have had the rematch and you wouldn't have to go through 19 other people, is what I'm trying to say to you.
Well, that's because you've taken someone's word on that. And if you're in professional wrestling, the last person you ever want to trust is anyone in wrestling. So I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if that's kind of a way to spin what's been happening. So Mr. Cole looks extra good in the situation, even though there is truth in what I was saying that day. But like I said, I am willing to accept my punishment in this. And hopefully Mr. Cole understands that by giving me this opportunity and giving me this punishment, that it really should be the end of it, especially when I win this match.
Now, here's the other thing also, the last thing I want to bring up with this whole situation. You took a couple of shots at Bougie. Obviously, Bougie, he's had whatever he's had. With what you've said about him tonight, do you think he even has a bigger bullseye on you now?
Does Bougie have a bigger bullseye than I do?
No, does Bougie have a bigger bullseye on you?
On me? No.
Yeah, for what you said.
Because Bougie has always been for himself. I mean, it's right there. It's right in front of your eyes. He's always been for himself. And he said it himself, as I said earlier, that he never wants to face me again. He doesn't care about what the situation is between me and Cole or me and BCW or whomever else that might be involved in this. All Jay Bushi cares about is himself, and that's what he's going to do moving forward. And he will take every kind of shortcut and be in people's ears to stay away from me. And if I so choose to not get involved in whatever Jay Bushi's doing, then he would be lucky for that. And he would need the luck. But for me, no. Jay Bushi doesn't care about Cole, doesn't care about BCW. All he cares about is himself. And I think his actions have always proven that. I mean, in that tag match that we had, we've seen him and Darius have some problems, right? even though they respected each other. And frankly, there's too many people that respect each other in wrestling. I think we should be more honest with each other and really say how we feel about one another instead of playing this kind of role of, oh, yeah, I want to beat him, but I respect him as well. And clearly that fell apart. And then we had the issues between Face and Bougie there, right? They used to be friends. Don't seem like they're friends any longer. So, but to answer your question, no, Bougie doesn't care. He does not care about the situation, and he's not going to come after me because he wants to stay away from me.
Well, Anthony, Dr. Sleep, I said this to you before. When you don't have the mask on, to me, you're one of the best wrestlers that BCW has. When you have that mask on, all of a sudden you turn completely psychotic. I wish you all the luck in this Rumble. I know the card is going to be stacked against you, and we'll see what happens coming out of the Rumble when the dust settles. Are you going to be the one who can sit there and say, I'm the number one contender now?
Well, like I said, I don't really need your luck, but I do wish you luck in your podcasting endeavors. And like I said, the way that you see that mask is one thing, but once you're in that ring, once you're actually in a fight, then you would realize that to be that way is necessary. It's a necessary evil, and anyone in my position would do the same exact thing. And I don't really care for your assumption that I am somehow crazy or psychotic, as you put it. But like I said, perhaps next time I'm on your show, that you treat me with a little bit more respect, especially since I'm obligated to be on here. But I guess the final notes I would say is, again, I apologize to you since you were in that audience, to the fans, to the staff, and of course, Mr. Cole, for what occurred that day.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Sleep.
And I truly mean that. If I could, I would take out my heart and show you how much I meant it. But, I'm talking figuratively, of course.
No, I get that. Dr. Sleep, good luck on August 18th. You're definitely going to need it. And we'll definitely have you on again afterwards.
And luck's for losers, but good luck to you and your podcasting endeavors. I hope that you become such a huge, spectacular part of this wrestling community. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sleep. Guys, we're going to be right back after this with Around the Ropes Podcast. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to the Around the Ropes Podcast right here. And guys, I apologize to anybody who was watching that interview before if I seemed a little bit out of line on that one. But I'm sorry for what he did. I want to go to some of the comments here because we did have some comments coming in here during that incredibly heated interview. Again, Daniel Alexander will be joining me at 9:30. We might have another guest hopping in here. I got to say. But I want to just get to some of the comments here. David goes, I've been a fan of this podcast since day one, and I can tell you John has what the hell? But yeah, that was an intense interview. That was an incredibly intense interview. Then we also have the other side of it from David. Is John, you just because you know what it is. It comes down to this. And I'm not shooting another podcast, and I've said that before, but I have never. A lot of times when wrestlers go on shows, they're always very sweet, very lovey-dovey. I mean, David, you can attest this. You've been a fan of the show since day one. That's the one thing I don't do is I don't play lovey-dovey with certain people. And with what Anthony Gangone did and his actions, to me, I had to come at him a little bit. I really had to come at him a bit. And, normally I would have done the pleasantries and all that stuff, but I was like, no, not with that. But guys, again, if you missed any of tonight's show, definitely go back to our YouTube channel, go to our Facebook page. They'll definitely be up there. I have a good assumption that Breed Combination will definitely have that interview clipped and posted on the Facebook pages for Breed Combination. So definitely go follow them as well. Again, guys, coming up in August, I said this before and I'll say this again, on August 17th, Dynasty Wrestling debuts at Almont, New York for the Almont Fair. Show starts at 6 p.m. and there'll be a lot of great action. Obviously, we know that, as we heard on the show, the last interview I did with Layla James, she will be taking on Taylor One Shot. I'm not sure if the title's on the line. Obviously, we'll find out the day of the show. But who knows what else is going to happen, because I have a feeling we're going to see the continuation of Sergeant Fury and Punk, who I'm hoping to get both of them back on the show again, because, them to me right now have put on one of the best storylines in indie wrestling. So we have that coming up. Also hoping to have a few other people from Dynasty come on as well, because guys, like I said, before you know it, we'll be getting towards October, and it's going to be the 1 year anniversary, which is still insane to say. But guys, we're going to take another quick break because I really got to clear my throat here. And when we come back, we will talk all things in regards to WWE, as we are a few days and weeks away from SummerSlam. But guys, you're watching the Around the Ropes podcast right here on the Around the Ropes YouTube and Facebook channel. Be right back right after this. Okay. But guys, we are back here. Obviously, you know it's 9 o'clock right now, so we're in hour number 2 of the Around the Ropes podcast. Again, guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us. If you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button, share the video, show your friends, your family, you know, friends, whoever, your sister's ass, I don't care, about what you see on this show, where we give you our comprehensive coverage of all independent wrestling. But you also know with us, we're going to give you the hard-hitting questions as well. Guys, joining me at 9:30 tonight will be the one and only Daniel Alexander, who's one of the, I don't know if you can say he's one of the up-and-comers of BCW, but he definitely is. He definitely is somebody who, he's definitely, you know, he's a character in and itself. Let me put it that way with him. But you'll get to know more about him. I definitely want to find out about the puppets with him, because the puppets are the real big thing with him. So we'll definitely get into that with him. And guys, like I said, next week on the show, Faye Jackson joins the show. And then August, it's going to be straight through Dynasty talk, because guys, like I said, with Dynasty coming up on August 17th, we'll also probably have Craig Palmer coming on to talk a little bit about the upcoming UWE show that's happening. And looks like we got another comment coming in here. God, I can't even read. It's real. This is like really getting out of hand. I can't even read this shit. Let me go to YouTube for a second, because I'm going to go to the YouTube section here for 1 second. Close. Oh, okay. Just Kevin wanted to yeah, Kevin, like I said, if you just saw my interview with Anthony Gangone, I got a lot out of him. And guys, I hope you guys really appreciate that. I always say that interviews that I do are always the best interviews. But I will say for this one, the one I did with Anthony Gangone, even though I just obliterated him on here, I definitely have to say that was probably one of my favorite interviews I've ever done, because it was different. It was different. But I want to dive into talking about, you know, we're talking about with Anthony Gangone and Anthony Cole, that storyline. But I want to talk a little bit about storylines that we see right now in WWE. And we found out last night on Monday Night Raw that we will have, what's going on, Richard? Hope you guys are doing good. Again, guys, can't wait to see you guys again October 26th for Battleground Championship Wrestling. But I want to get into Punk and Drew here for a second, because the fact that it got announced for SummerSlam, and it's going to make things very interesting for SummerSlam, because this is one of the first times I can think of where a title is not necessary to make the feud work, because we've seen it constantly. We've seen it a lot. Where, and I'm going to go back to the Facebook page. So if you guys have any comments in there, definitely leave the comments in there. We'll definitely. But yeah, like I said, this is definitely going to be a scenario that we're going to be seeing with Drew and Punk that is going to be very telling, because especially the fact you got Bad Blood coming up in October, and it's going to be very interesting. Richard says, can't wait to hang out in October, but I'm wondering what Tim is up to with the whole Battle Underground. Richard, unfortunately, you'll find out the same time I find out. I have no freaking idea. Tim has not told me anything yet. I have no idea. I'm very intrigued by it. I don't know if this could be another show he's doing, or this is going to be a new title. I don't know what. And guys, maybe next time I have Mr. Embler on here, we'll try to get that out of him. So definitely have that coming up for you guys, and that's not till October. So we got some time for that one. But as far as what we have with SummerSlam, let me just go through the SummerSlam card quickly here because this card is very impressive, to say the least. Let me just pull up the SummerSlam 2024 card. Okay, here we go. For SummerSlam this year, we got Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. We got Bayley versus Nia Jax for the WWE Women's title. Liv Morgan takes on Rhea Ripley in the Women's World Championship match, or as I call it, whoever can, have a relationship with Dominic Mysterio. Cody Rhodes takes on Solo Sikoa for the Undisputed title. Logan Paul takes on LA Knight. Yeah. For the U.S. title, Sami Zayn takes on Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title, and CM Punk takes on Drew McIntyre. As we know, Seth freaking Rollins will be your special guest referee. And overall, yeah, Richard, I just read your comment here. I have no idea. I have no idea. Guys, the way we'll find out about it, Richard, you'll find out about it the same time I find out about it, buddy. That's the only way I can put it. But as far as with SummerSlam, I want to ask you guys this now. I know we still got one more around the ropes before we get to SummerSlam, so we'll do more of an official preview come next week. But looking at it now, I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. How excited are you for the show? How excited are you guys for the show? If you would put it on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your excitement for the show? What's your excitement for the show? Because I'll give you mine in a second here, but I just want to take care of something quickly. Okay. But no, what would be your excitement level? Because for me right now, with the way the stories are going, I'm giving it at least a 7 or an 8. Because this may be the first SummerSlam without Vince. I know Mania was the first Mania without Vince. I think this might be the first SummerSlam without it. Oh, wait, no. He wasn't there last year. I don't know. My whole point is this. With the way they're building this up, I mean, realistically, we know what's closing out the show. It was announced what's closing the show. And that's Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. But you could easily make the argument for Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn, for Damian Priest and Gunther, for Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, for any of them. And that's what makes it so interesting now is, yes, we know what's the main event. The main event is Cody versus the Bloodline. But look at how many storylines we're getting right now beyond that, where it's, what we're seeing right now with the Judgment Day, what we're seeing right now with Sami Zayn with his title. Richard chimes in and goes, I'm waiting for LA Knight to win. I think Rhea will get her belt back unless Dom turns on Rhea. I'm thinking Finn might get involved and either live Dom's storyline or somehow make Damian lose the belt. I don't know. To answer your question, to kind of go back to what you're saying, I don't know. I could see the possible scenario where Dominic screws Rhea, and we see sort of a split in that group, where you see on one hand you'll see Dominic, whatchamacallit, Kevin, I'll get to your point here in a second. But I can see the scenario also, and we see a split of JD, Finn, and Liv on one side. No, that wouldn't work. No, Rhea. I don't know. That's why it makes it so difficult, because it's like originally I had in my head you could have done Dominic, Liv, and Finn. Yeah, you could do that, and then have Damian, Rhea, and JD. Then you would have an issue then with the tag titles part. So either way, it's going to make it a very interesting show, to say the least. And then Kevin chimes in here and goes, Punk and Drew is interesting to me because I'm generally curious to see if Punk's body can hold up. That's what's going to be the telling part of it, because what people have to remember, this is CM Punk's first match in a WWE ring since January. He has not been in a ring since January. And obviously, he has, it's going to be interesting. And it's going to be interesting on the fact that he hasn't been in the ring. It's much different if, you're practicing, that's one thing. But when you're actually in the ring in a full-blown match, that's much different when you haven't been in a ring in several months. It's going to be very interesting to see if he has any ring rust. That's what's going to be the interesting thing to see with CM Punk. If the time being offered him slowed him down. And also, on the flip side, you look at somebody like Drew, he's going to have to keep his emotions in check, where, God forbid, he goes off the deep end. Because especially you got a guy who's your special guest referee in Seth Rollins, who does not really like either of them. So, because if you go back, the story that they're saying, you go back to WrestleMania, Drew took the belt off of Seth. Punk then screwed Drew out of the title when Damian Priest interfered to cash in at Mania. So, it's going to be, it's going to be very interesting to see here. And Richard chimes in here and goes, the whole thing with Drew and Punk, that they should make it a triple threat, and the winner faces Damian. Faces Damian where, Richard? At SummerSlam or at Bash in Berlin? Because unfortunately, we all know that Damian ain't walking out of SummerSlam with that World Heavyweight title. Richard says, here's a crazy idea. What if Paul Heyman is in talks with Jon Moxley to bring back the Shield to face the Bloodline, or maybe Brock and Curtis Axel, the Paul Heyman guys? Richard, I'm just going to say this right now, buddy. Richard, what I'm about to say is not meant to be rude, okay? But what the hell's in the water in Philadelphia? Moxley has said numerous amount of times he would never come back to WWE, even with Hunter running it. We don't know if Brock's ever going to come back after the whole Janelle Grant lawsuit. And Curtis Axel's pretty much retired at this point. I know, before everybody comes at me with the pitchforks, I know we've seen the scenario where people are retired and then they come back. I think Curtis Axel is retired. Because I think he's now a producer backstage or something. So, Richard, I will not poke that much fun at that, but yeah. But, I mean, like I said, you look at what we're seeing right now. I mean, the fact that I talked about Judgment Day. I talked about what we're seeing right now with the Bloodline. And those are not, and I said this last couple of weeks on the show, those two storylines do not involve a title at all. They have no title reverence whatsoever. Where, you have other stories. A great example. Look at what Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn are going to be doing. More than likely, Braun Breaker's probably walking out of SummerSlam with that title. What's going to be interesting to see, though, hold on. What's going to be interesting to see, sorry. This is a problem when you don't drink before the show. This is definitely the issue. But I think honestly, like I said before, I think LA Knight's going to, I agree with, I think Richard said earlier, LA Knight's going to retain, is going to beat Logan Paul. And freaking, but the other matches is going to be very telling. But guys, we're going to take a quick break here again, because my throat's starting to kill me a little bit, so I want to see if I can go grab something to drink. And guys, actually, I want to grab something to drink, but guys, we'll be right back with more wrestling talk, and then we will be joined by Daniel Alexander in 15 minutes, so you're not going to want to miss that. Definitely stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this. You're watching the Around the Ropes podcast right here on the Around the Ropes YouTube and Facebook channels.
Stop the count.
And we are back live right here on your Ropes podcast. That video was played solely with the intention of, because according to my first guest, Mr. Anthony Gangone, apparently everybody praises Darius Carter. So I wanted to play a Darius Carter video. So Gangone, if you have a problem with that, you'll find me at the next not the next three combination shows because I won't be in town, but for the October show. You know, when you're on the sideline losing because you don't win the Rumble. You crybaby, you. But I want to just go back to the comment here. Richard says, I like the solo bloodline more than when Roman was in charge. It's less talking and more carnage, which is what true dominant heel stable needs. Yes, but I'll also tell you this much right now. I mean, they've definitely kept the story going huge. This story has been huge for a while now. And what's going to be interesting, sorry, don't mind me. What's going to be interesting is when Roman comes back, because you got to remember, we have coming out of SummerSlam, we'll have Bash in Berlin. Then we'll have, I don't know what the September. Bash in Berlin is August. What show is September now? Because I know Bad Blood is in October. I don't know what. I don't know if they even announced one for September. I know it's not Unforgiven. That I know. I'm not that stupid. Okay, we're up to that. WrestleMania, the draft. All right, I forgot this website goes through every event this company has had this year. Okay, we get it. SummerSlam. Okay, yep, there you have Great American Bash on August. Okay, so Great American Bash apparently starts on Tuesday next week, so I did not know that. Bash in Berlin. No Mercy. So realistically, they actually don't have a main roster pay-per-view then in September. Because I'm just looking here right now. You got NXT No Mercy, which is September 1st. And then next one you got is Bad Blood. Halloween Havoc is the 27th. Crown Jewel is November 2nd. And then Survivor Series to close out the year. So you don't have a September show. Because I'm just looking here right now. Coming out of SummerSlam. Because SummerSlam is August 3rd. We have Great American Bash on July 30th and August 6th. You then have Bash in Berlin on the 31st. I think you got NXT on September 1st. So you don't have a PLE then for the entire month of September. Because, like I said, the next one you got here is Bad Blood on October 5th. Which I can tell you right now, the main event for that should be one match and one match only. The main event for Bad Blood should be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a steel cage. Hell in a Cell. Why not play off the whole 30th anniversary of Shawn and Taker? You don't have to have it be for a title. You don't have to have, Gunther defeat Jobber number... we We can't use the word jobber anymore, according to Dustin Rhodes. Enhancement talent. You don't have to have it be for a title. And I know before everybody comes at me with the pitchforks and the spoons. Spoons. I understand the mentality of you don't have to always have a title close out. You have to have a title close out the show. I understand that. But look at what that match between McIntyre and Punk is getting fans salivated for. And there's no belt on the line. And those two haven't even touched yet. Except for scrapings here and there. They haven't touched yet. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting, to say the least. Guys, in about 10 minutes or so, Daniel Alexander will be joining the show. One of the bright stars. And believe me, after talking to Gangone, we kind of need to have somebody on here who isn't going to get pissed off at me. But, guys, I want to ask you guys this question. I've asked this most of the show tonight. But now that we have some people in here, what storyline are you interested in? You can either say in WWE, AEW, or an indie show. Because some indie companies are doing storylines right now. And I'd like to ask you guys, what storyline are you guys most interested in? It could be for a title. It doesn't have to be for a title, whatever. Just let me know what your storyline is. Are you interested in Punk and Drew? Are you interested in Cody and the Bloodline? Are you interested in Mariah May and Tony Storm? Or could it be something on the independent level? Like Richard, I'll put it this way. I'm curious to see the storyline with Joel Gertner's Sex with Your Next Express. I'm curious to see where they're going with that now, especially after they lost that ridiculously great 5-star classic that we saw at the show back a couple weeks ago. Which is weird to think, by the way. That was the last wrestling show I was at, was July 6th. And we're about to hit almost the end of the month now. Yeah, I kind of miss going to shows. But, of course, that's all going to change come August 17th when my ass will be back up in Almont, New York for Dynasty. And, guys, like I said, we're definitely going to have a lot of the talent on. I'm hoping right now, I'm going to put it out there right now, that one of the people we have on, I mean, there's a few people who I definitely want to have on returning, but there's one guy, one individual from Dynasty who I have been wanting to have on, and now that he holds some gold, I really want to have him on. And that's Johan Nahara. He is one guy I have been wanting on the show. So Johan, if you see this, or if anybody from Dynasty is watching this, tell Johan he has an open door with this show. We'll have to figure out a time for him, but like I said, I definitely want to talk to the champ. And who knows when we'll see belts in Dynasty soon. I mean, we could see another belt debuting at the Hall of Fame show. Could be, who knows? Realistically, who knows? But guys, we're going to take another break here because I'm trying to break this up so my throat doesn't go completely. And we'll be hopefully joined in a couple of minutes by Daniel Alexander from Breed Combination and from Titan Championship Wrestling. So, guys, stay tuned. Daniel Alexander at the bottom of the hour, back with more wrestling talk. You're watching the Around the Ropes podcast right here on the Around the Ropes YouTube and Facebook channels. And we are back live right here on the Around the Ropes podcast. Guys, hopefully Daniel Alexander will be joining the show in about 5 minutes. Actually, give me 1 second here. On. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. But no, like I said, this was, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But because like I said, 1-800-Bangers will be joining us in a couple minutes, and then we'll probably wrap up the show because I really got nothing else to talk about. So at this point, we're just waiting for Mr. Alexander to hop on with us. And if he would like to, he could hop on earlier because I definitely want to. There's a lot of stuff I want to get to him on, and all that stuff. Because, like I said, coming up, actually this week. What am I kidding? I'm gonna have another interview coming up with the new BCW Tag Team Champions. I don't know if it's both of them or one of them, but the Tag Team Champions will be on with me. Then hopefully I'm gonna have the Grand Dragon, Gangone's new best friend, Jay Bougie, on with me. Talk about that. And then, like I said, we got Faye Jackson next week, and then after that, it's straight Dynasty stuff till we get to Almont on August 17th. And then, obviously, like I said, UWE is doing their next set of tapings on August 18th, where there will be a Rumble. And, guys, if you're in the Oneida area, definitely stop by early, though, on that Sunday. I think it's 10 to 1, I think is for the Bob Evans seminar. And you're not going to miss it. Bob Evans is somebody who's been in this industry for a long time, and he is one that definitely, like I said, one thing I've learned, and yes, and the one thing I will give Anthony Gangone a little bit of credit on is the fact of, that I've never set foot in a ring. I'll be the first one to admit I've never have set foot in a ring. However, if I was a wrestler, I would take up the opportunity in a heartbeat to go learn from Bob Evans, somebody who's been in a lot of these big companies. He's been to the top of the top. And that's the one thing with pro wrestling is you get into this industry because you want to be at the top. You're in this industry because you want to get to a WWE or AEW. Unless you're happier. I mean, there's some guys on the independent scene. Great example. Darius Carter, to me, is a great example. The guy never needs to touch WWE or AEW. I mean, eventually, do I think he will? Yes. But it's got to be the right time. It definitely has to be the right time, to say the least. And as far as some other names, I mean, go to somebody else from Dynasty, Vicky. And we saw her with Impact, with TNA, when they were down in Philly earlier this month. She could be another name that we could be seeing on regular TV in the weeks and days to come. And months to come. Who knows? I mean, just go down the list. I mean, Wrecking Ball Legursky. I'll give you guys a great example. Wrecking Ball Legursky is somebody who I've seen plenty of times now in different companies. And actually on NWA TV tonight on the CW app, he's taking on EC3 for the NWA 10 pound of gold. And I don't know if he won. I doubt it because Facebook would be blowing up right now. But these guys, and here's the best way I can phrase this. The guys who the guys who are on the main run, who are in these indie companies, like your Dynasties, your Immortals, eventually they're going to be in WWE and AEW. That's without a doubt. The thing is how much longer do we have before they go up to the main roster, so to speak, and all that stuff. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see. Just give me 2 seconds because I want to see something here now. Guys, we take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back right after this. You're watching Your Honor podcast right here on Your Honor YouTube, Facebook channels. And we are back live right here on the Underdogs podcast. As we waited for our guest, Daniel Alexander, to join, let me check to see what's going on right now in NXT, because I know NXT is live right now as we speak. Just give me 2 seconds here. Again, we are waiting for our guest to join, the one and only Daniel Alexander. Let's see what's going on. Okay, there was a challenge for the tag titles. Let's see here. It looked like a pretty, from what I'm seeing here on X, it's looking like a pretty damn good NXT that we had tonight, going into what we have coming up next week. And guys, like I said, shit, I lost my train of thought here for a second. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll be joined by our guest, Daniel Alexander. If not, we'll have to do that on a YouTube exclusive. But I'm just waiting here a couple more minutes, see if anybody joins. Not if anybody, if he joins. But again, hopefully everybody's having a good Tuesday night. And yeah, I really don't have anything else. So guys, we're going to end the show early tonight. And we will catch you guys here on our YouTube exclusives coming up this week, where we will have either one half of the tag champs. We'll have some formation of the tag champions on with us. And then next week, Faye Jackson. Also stay tuned for our YouTube exclusive with Daniel Alexander and so much more. But guys, again, I appreciate all the support. It means a lot. I'm John. This has been Around the Ropes Podcast. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. It costs you nothing. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on X. And we'll catch you guys here next time. Again, hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us. Thank you and have a great night.